How's it going, casters? Today I'm going to be doing a review on Phasmophobia, a very popular horror game that has come out this year and has gained a lot of traction in this October. So I'm going to be going over some of the gameplay and the price, some of the equipment and stuff like that, just kind of giving you guys a feel for it. I also want to point out this game, watching it compared to actually playing it is a whole different experience. There's a level of immersion that comes with actually playing it and watching someone else play it. You might not get that same experience, and especially if you play it in VR, which is a possibility. You can play with people who are on PC with VR as well. It works both ways. One person could be in VR and the rest of them are just playing the regular game. But anyways, I'm going to get into some of the details that you guys are here to see, and we're going to go from there. Now, one of the first things I'll be going over is the picture that is currently on the screen. This is your equipment menu. This is where you'll be adding items in for the mission you are planning to do. So when you complete successful ghost hunts, and even some of them unsuccessful, just depends on what tasks you do, which we will get to eventually, you earn money from completing those missions, and you use that to buy equipment that will help you get evidence on what kind of ghost you're dealing with. Now, one thing I will point out early on is there are difficulties to ghost hunts. You have everything from amateur to intermediate to professional. And early difficulties, if you die, you lose your equipment and you'll get insurance for said equipment. But once you start getting up to professional ghost hunts and you're running those, you don't get insurance and you get a lot less money if you die in those hunts. But you get a lot more money for completing those higher difficulty ones. So it all depends on your preference. Some of the ghost hunts will, amateur, you get a 5-minute save time where the ghost will not attack, and it's not as aggressive. It's not going to show you a lot, but it gives you time to get your equipment set up. Intermediate gives you a 2-minute save time, and professional gives you no save time. You can walk in the door of the haunted location and that ghost could immediately attack. Now, the next thing I'll be going over is your objective board. So every time you start a ghost hunt, you'll be given a list of objectives to complete to gain additional money. So these objectives can change. They're not the same for every map. Everything is consistently random on here. You will get varying tiers of difficult objectives. Some of them will be like get a picture of the ghost, witness an event, stop a hunt with a crucifix, or just do any other variation of things, get a certain temperature. They all are varied to what it wants you to do. Now, the next thing will be the map for the location you are at and team sanity. So every location you go to has a map that you can view in the truck. You do not get a map that you can carry with you into the location. You have to keep track of where you are in these buildings and kind of remember where you had to go. There's no way of marking where you've been unless you leave a piece of your equipment behind, but I don't recommend doing that. Candles are probably one of the items I would recommend doing that with, but also those should be used more for keeping lighting in a location, as that keeps your sanity up, which brings me next to sanity. Sanity, depending on what the ghost is doing, what you are doing, or if you're in the dark, is something that will factor in. The lower your team's sanity gets, the more likely the ghost is to attack or start doing more things. Now, going back to the equipment that we added in at the beginning of a mission, this right here is where all your equipment that you bring into a mission will be, and you can take up to 3 items in with you. 9 times out of 10, a flashlight is always going to be one of those, and then you can pick 2 other things to bring in with you. Now, one other thing I'd like to bring up is how I mentioned that you can lose items if you die during a hunt. Items that you leave in the building will come with you when you leave. You do not have to return everything to the truck. No matter where you leave it in the house, it will come back to you. Now, one of the other things I'm going to go over is dying in Phasmo, getting hunted. The ghost will pop up at any time, anywhere, and what you do can affect how often this happens. You can also slow this down. You can immediately just anger the ghost and get it to come after you. There's all sorts of determining factors. Having your flashlight on can attract it to you, not hiding behind a door or a closed room. There's all sorts of factors that come into play here. And of course, you don't want to spend all your time hiding because then you're not going to find any evidence. Now, of course, there are instances where the ghost will show itself, and that doesn't always mean it's hunting you. These are sort of like jump scares or to give you a chance to get a picture of the ghost without risking your life. There's multiple things that can happen when a ghost pops up. It can walk around, it can act like it's going to hunt. It's never guaranteed what the ghost is going to do when it pops up, which is the thing I love about this game because it is so random in that aspect. Now, of course, with this being a review, I have to go over the cons as well, but a lot of the problems I personally have come across have not been game-breaking. There's been times where we'll be in the lobby and all of our teammates can communicate just fine with the voice in-game, but we'll load into the truck and someone won't be able to hear the other people, but we can hear them. There's also been times where, like, the game could crash when trying to load into one of the larger maps, but this has been a super rare instance, and the nice thing about these two cons, I know I'm glorifying problems in a game, but hear me out here, these problems always happen when you're loading into a match. It's never during the mission or after you've gotten like halfway through the hunt, you've got evidence acquired. It's right as you enter the truck. A quick go over, press the button, go back to the lobby, and just go back in. That's usually all it takes to fix these problems. The crashing one, obviously the person has to restart the game, but also it doesn't happen in the middle of these games. And again, they are super rare instances. I think in 28 hours of gameplay, I've had like one person crash in the game, and that might not even have been the game. It could have been something else, but I know I'm not going to try to justify a problem. I'm just going over what to think about. Now this brings me to my next point. As you can tell from the clip that I currently have playing, VR is amazing for this game, and if you are considering picking it up, it's not two separate purchases. You can play the same version on VR or on your PC. They both work together in lobbies, and it is amazing. There are some benefits to playing it in VR. There are some benefits to playing it on your PC. As in VR, you can hold 4 items, but on your PC, you kind of get more room to move around in the game. Rather, in person with VR, you yourself kind of have to make those movements. And finally, the scares. Phasmo has such a well-created formula for how it plays that you could have a game where nothing happens, or you could have a game where it's constantly attacking you, or you have a game where the ghost just constantly keeps scaring you. And that is what I love about Phasmophobia. They have created such a good game that no matter how much I have played it, I want more. The scares never stop coming because you never know when they are coming. You constantly are in the state of where is the next ghost going to be? When is the next occurrence going to happen? There are things you can do, yes, to anger the ghost, but that does not always guarantee a reaction. No matter how much you prepare yourself, the game always finds a way to keep you on your toes. And that is a wonderful thing about horror games, because more horror games need ways to constantly change things up, to where you don't get used to how things are. You want that constant fear factor when you're playing because it keeps you coming back for more. And of course, there are the other times where if you're just not in the mood to be absolutely scared, there's moments like this one.
You're right here. Hello, comrade, are you here with us?
Comrade Ghost, it's good to see you again. So ladies and gentlemen, with everything said here today, for the low cost of $14 on Steam, yeah, I would recommend Phasmophobia to you, especially if you are a horror fan, because the amount of hours of fun I have gotten out of this, playing with friends, or playing with randoms, or just going into VR alone, or playing it alone in general, I feel like I have gotten every penny's worth that I have paid for it. And I would even pay more for it. When it goes to its whatever full price after it comes out of early access, it would still be worth every cent to me. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I will respond to every single one of you. And I hope this video has helped you decide whether or not Phasmophobia is for you or not. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want. Don't if you don't want to. I'm just glad you're all here. And I will see you in the next video.